Artificial intelligence is no longer a futuristic concept, it's embedded in our present reality. From voice assistants and recommendation algorithms to autonomous vehicles and facial recognition systems, AI has reshaped how we interact with the world. But behind the convenience and innovation lies a complex web of ethical concerns that are rapidly coming to the forefront of public discourse. These concerns aren't just technical, they're deeply philosophical, legal, and societal. As AI systems grow more powerful and autonomous, the urgency to examine their moral boundaries intensifies. What happens when machines begin to make decisions that once required human judgment? This is no longer a speculative question. AI systems already assist in parole decisions, loan approvals, and medical diagnoses. These use cases reveal a pressing dilemma. How do we ensure fairness, transparency, and accountability when we don't fully understand how many of these algorithms work? The so-called black box of AI presents not just a technological mystery but a profound ethical challenge. When lives are impacted by decisions no one can truly explain, trust erodes. In this video, we'll explore 10 of the most significant ethical dilemmas posed by artificial intelligence. From data privacy and surveillance to algorithmic bias and the future of employment, each section will delve into real-world scenarios backed by current facts and expert concerns. By the end, you'll have a deeper understanding of why the debate around AI isn't just about what machines can do, but what they should be allowed to do. Bias in algorithms. AI systems are only as objective as the data they're trained on, and data often carries the biases of the society that produced it. When historical prejudice is baked into training data, algorithms can replicate or even amplify discriminatory patterns. One notable example was a recruiting tool used by Amazon that downgraded resumes containing the word women's because it was trained on past hiring data skewed toward male candidates. Such bias wasn't intentional, but the consequences were real and unjust. Bias doesn't just affect hiring. It can lead to disparities in facial recognition performance across different demographic groups. Studies have shown that some systems misidentify Black and Asian faces at significantly higher rates than white faces. This isn't a mere technical hiccup. It has led to wrongful arrests and deepened mistrust in law enforcement tools. If AI is to be fair, it must be tested and corrected for these biases, yet many systems remain unregulated. The challenge is that most machine learning models operate as opaque systems. Developers might not fully understand how or why a model made a particular decision. This makes it difficult to trace the root of discriminatory outcomes or to fix them effectively. Additionally, companies may guard their algorithms as trade secrets, further limiting transparency. This creates an accountability vacuum where no one can clearly be held responsible for harmful decisions. Addressing algorithmic bias requires more than just technical adjustments, it calls for an interdisciplinary approach. Ethical reviews, diverse development teams, and inclusive datasets are crucial steps toward more just systems. Only by recognizing and actively confronting these issues can we begin to build AI that serves all segments of society fairly and equitably. AI and privacy invasion. One of the most immediate concerns with AI is its relationship with surveillance. AI-driven tools like facial recognition and behavioral tracking are now used by governments and corporations worldwide, often without meaningful consent from the people being watched. In China, AI surveillance has been used to track ethnic minorities like the Uyghurs, sparking global condemnation. In the US and Europe, similar tools are quietly deployed in public spaces under the guise of safety. Smart assistants and Internet of Things, IoT, devices also present major privacy risks. Devices like Amazon Alexa and Google Home are always listening for wake words, raising questions about how much data is being collected, stored, and potentially misused. Even AI in mobile apps can quietly log user behavior, preferences, and biometric information. The more personalized AI becomes, the more invasive it can feel. While companies argue that data collection helps improve user experience, it often comes at the cost of autonomy and informed consent. Few people read or understand the long, dense terms of service agreements they're required to accept. This creates a troubling imbalance, where corporations gain vast insight into individuals' lives while those same individuals remain largely unaware of what's being tracked or how it's being used. Governments have started to respond, but regulations are inconsistent and lagging behind innovation. The European Union's General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, set a global standard, but enforcement remains uneven. In many countries, privacy laws haven't caught up with the reality of AI surveillance. Until legal frameworks are modernized, individuals remain vulnerable to a system that sees everything, without ever asking for permission. Automation and job displacement. As AI systems become more capable, industries across the globe are undergoing a quiet revolution. Automation, once limited to manufacturing, now affects white-collar jobs once considered immune. AI tools can now write code, analyze legal documents, provide customer service, and even generate news reports. While this boosts productivity and reduces costs, it also threatens millions of jobs worldwide. The World Economic Forum estimates that by 2025, automation could displace around 85 million jobs. The ethical dilemma here lies in balancing innovation with the socio-economic impact on workers. Technological progress has always disrupted labor markets, but the speed and scale of AI-driven change are unprecedented. Entire professions may become obsolete within a decade, leaving workers with outdated skills and limited prospects. Without proactive retraining programs and social safety nets, this transition could widen economic inequality and fuel public resentment. AI doesn't just eliminate jobs, it changes the nature of work. Gig economy platforms already use algorithms to assign tasks and evaluate performance, sometimes in ways that feel arbitrary or inhumane. Workers often find themselves subject to opaque systems that make decisions without explanation or recourse. This erodes trust and raises the question: should machines be allowed to manage human labor? Ultimately, society must decide how to implement AI in a way that enhances human dignity rather than undermines it. Some experts advocate for universal basic income or a tax on robots to offset job loss. Others call for tighter regulation of how AI is deployed in employment contexts. What's clear is that as machines become more competent, we must ensure that people are not left behind. Autonomous weapons. One of the most alarming applications of AI is in warfare. Autonomous weapons, machines capable of selecting and engaging targets without human intervention, are no longer science fiction. Military powers, including the United States, China, and Russia, are developing these systems, prompting a global debate over their legality and morality. The key concern is simple: should a machine ever have the authority to decide who lives and who dies? Unlike traditional weapons, autonomous systems can act faster than human reaction times, potentially making them more effective on the battlefield. However, this speed comes at a cost. Without human oversight, there's a risk of catastrophic mistakes, misidentifying civilians as combatants or escalating conflicts unintentionally. The lack of accountability in these scenarios is deeply troubling. Who is responsible if a drone commits a war crime? The programmer, the commander, or no one? The international community remains divided on how to regulate autonomous weapons. Some countries support a complete ban, while others argue for guidelines rather than prohibitions. The United Nations has held multiple discussions on the topic, but no binding agreement has emerged. Meanwhile, development continues, driven by fears of falling behind in an AI arms race. The ethical question extends beyond legality to the very nature of warfare. Allowing machines to make life and death decisions risks dehumanizing conflict further. As technology races ahead, moral and legal frameworks must evolve, or we risk a future where war is waged without conscience or accountability. Responsibility and accountability. When AI systems go wrong, identifying who is at fault becomes a tangled web. In 2018, a self-driving Uber vehicle struck and killed a pedestrian in Arizona. The car had failed to recognize the person crossing the street, but the safety driver was also distracted. Was the fault with the driver, the engineers, the company, or the AI itself? This case exemplifies the core challenge of assigning responsibility in complex AI systems. Most AI technologies operate based on machine learning, meaning they make decisions based on patterns in data rather than explicit programming. This creates a level of unpredictability that makes accountability murky. If an algorithm discriminates or causes harm, the people affected often have no clear avenue for redress. Legal systems struggle to keep pace with technologies that blur the line between tool and actor. The issue is further complicated when companies claim their AI systems are proprietary, and therefore not subject to public scrutiny. This shields them from transparency and often from legal consequences. Without enforceable standards and oversight, corporations can distance themselves from the negative outcomes of their AI products. Creating clear frameworks for responsibility is essential. Governments must establish liability standards that account for the unique nature of AI decision-making. Companies, in turn, need to adopt internal ethical review processes. As AI becomes more embedded in daily life, building systems of trust and accountability isn't optional, it's urgent. The black box problem. One of the most unsettling aspects of AI is how little we often understand about how it works. Many modern AI models, especially deep learning systems, are black boxes. They take in data and output decisions, but the internal reasoning is opaque even to their creators. This lack of transparency poses serious ethical and practical problems, especially in high-stakes areas like medicine, finance, and criminal justice. Imagine an AI system denies a loan application, but neither the applicant nor the bank can explain why. Or a patient is given a cancer diagnosis from an AI tool, but the doctor can't trace the logic behind it. These scenarios are already playing out. In the absence of explainability, people affected by these decisions are left confused, powerless, and mistrustful. That's not just frustrating, it's unjust. Researchers are actively working on explainable AI, a subfield aimed at making algorithmic decisions more transparent. Techniques like attention mapping, surrogate models, and rule extraction offer partial solutions, but none have fully solved the problem. The more complex the AI, the harder it becomes to unpack its reasoning without sacrificing performance. This presents a trade-off. Should we prioritize accuracy or interpretability? The answer isn't straightforward, but one thing is clear: systems that affect people's lives must be auditable. Until we can open the black box, we risk handing over critical decisions to entities we don't truly understand. Deepfakes and misinformation. AI-generated content, especially deepfakes, poses a profound ethical challenge in the realm of truth and trust. Deepfakes are hyper-realistic audio or video forgeries created using deep learning, capable of mimicking a person's voice and appearance with startling accuracy. Once confined to fringe internet experiments, deepfakes are now widely accessible through open-source tools, raising the alarm about their potential misuse in politics, media, and personal reputations. One troubling example occurred in 2020 when a deepfake video of President Obama appeared online. Although it was intended as a public awareness campaign, it showed how easily someone could manipulate visual evidence to say or do things that never happened. In less benign cases, deepfakes have been used to impersonate corporate executives in fraud schemes or to produce non-consensual explicit content targeting individuals. The implications for personal safety, democracy, and the justice system are severe. AI doesn't just create content, it also curates and amplifies it. Algorithms on social media platforms determine what news or videos users see, often prioritizing engagement over accuracy. This can create echo chambers, spread conspiracy theories, and undermine public discourse. AI-driven recommendation systems unintentionally become powerful engines of misinformation when their primary goal is user retention rather than truth. The ethical dilemma is how to balance innovation in content generation with safeguards against deception. Some researchers advocate for digital watermarking of AI-generated media. Others call for stricter platform moderation and laws penalizing malicious deepfake use. Without meaningful action, we risk entering a post-truth era where seeing is no longer believing, and trust in information collapses. AI and human autonomy. As AI becomes more integrated into everyday life, concerns arise about its influence on human decision-making and autonomy. Recommendation algorithms, for instance, shape our choices in subtle but pervasive ways: what we watch, buy, read, and even believe. Over time, these nudges can limit exposure to diverse perspectives, leading to a kind of algorithmic determinism where people's behaviors are shaped by unseen forces. Consider the case of predictive policing software used in major cities like Los Angeles and Chicago. These systems analyze historical crime data to suggest patrol locations, but they risk reinforcing existing biases by disproportionately sending police to already over-policed neighborhoods. The result is a feedback loop where certain communities are more heavily scrutinized, not necessarily because of current crime, but because of legacy data and flawed assumptions. Another example involves medical AI tools that suggest treatment plans. While these tools can aid clinicians, over-reliance may reduce human judgment to second place. If doctors deferred to algorithmic recommendations without question, patients may lose the nuanced care that only a human can provide. This raises critical questions. Where should we draw the line between assistance and control? And how do we preserve human agency in an increasingly automated world? Preserving autonomy requires transparency, choice, and education. People must be informed when AI is involved in decision-making, and they should have the ability to opt out or challenge outcomes. Only through conscious design and regulation can we ensure that AI serves as an empowering tool, rather than a subtle form of control. In healthcare, AI is transforming medicine, promising faster diagnoses, personalized treatment, and more efficient hospital operations. Tools like IBM's Watson have been used to analyze vast amounts of medical literature and patient data to suggest treatments for cancer and other complex diseases. AI can also detect anomalies in imaging scans that doctors might miss, helping to catch illnesses early. These applications have the potential to save countless lives, but they also introduce a new layer of ethical complexity. One concern is the lack of transparency and accountability when AI systems make errors. In 2019, a widely used algorithm in the US healthcare system was found to exhibit racial bias, significantly underestimating the medical needs of Black patients. The algorithm was not designed to be discriminatory, but its reliance on cost-based proxies led to skewed outcomes. Such flaws can lead to misdiagnosis, delayed treatment, or even death. There's also the issue of informed consent. Patients may not always know that AI is being used in their diagnosis or care plan. If a machine is assisting in medical decisions, should patients be notified? Should they have the right to refuse? These are questions that current healthcare laws are not fully equipped to answer. Additionally, data privacy becomes a major concern when sensitive health records are used to train AI models. To navigate these challenges, ethical guidelines and medical oversight are essential. Institutions like the World Health Organization and the European Commission have proposed frameworks for trustworthy AI in healthcare. These include principles like human oversight, fairness, transparency, and accountability. While the benefits of AI in medicine are immense, they must be pursued without compromising patient rights and ethical standards. The future of AI governance. As AI technologies advance, the question of how to govern them becomes increasingly urgent. Unlike other industries, AI evolves rapidly, often outpacing the ability of lawmakers to respond. This has led to a fragmented global landscape where some countries embrace AI innovation with minimal regulation, while others push for strict ethical guidelines and oversight. Without coordinated governance, there's a risk of ethical standards falling through the cracks. The European Union has taken a proactive stance with its AI Act, aiming to classify AI systems by risk level and impose obligations accordingly. The United States, by contrast, has relied more on industry self-regulation and sector-specific guidelines. China has pursued an aggressive strategy of AI development with strong state involvement, raising concerns about surveillance and individual freedoms. This global patchwork creates opportunities for regulatory arbitrage, where companies base operations in countries with the fewest restrictions. A critical issue is who gets to decide the ethical boundaries of AI. Should it be tech companies, governments, international organizations, or the public? Each stakeholder has different priorities and interests. Without inclusive dialogue, AI policies may reflect the values of a few powerful actors rather than broader societal consensus. There's also the challenge of enforcement. Laws mean little if there's no mechanism to ensure compliance or hold violators accountable. Experts are calling for global coordination, something akin to the Geneva Conventions, but for AI. This could help set shared norms for transparency, safety, and human rights. While it may seem ambitious, such an agreement could prevent a future defined by technological chaos and ethical ambiguity. As we shape the future of AI, governance isn't just about control, it's about protecting what it means to be human. Artificial intelligence is not inherently good or evil. It is a tool shaped by the intentions and values of those who create and deploy it. But as it becomes more powerful and pervasive, the stakes rise dramatically. Each decision about how AI is built, used, and regulated carries profound ethical implications. These dilemmas, ranging from bias and surveillance to autonomy and accountability, are not abstract theories. They are already affecting people's lives in significant ways. To address these challenges, society must adopt a multidisciplinary approach. Technologists, ethicists, lawmakers, and citizens all have a role to play in shaping the future of AI. This means designing systems with fairness in mind, demanding transparency from corporations, and enacting laws that reflect our shared values. Ignoring the ethical dimensions of AI development will only lead to deeper injustices and greater social divides. We are at a critical crossroads. The choices we make today will define the relationship between humans and intelligent machines for generations to come. Will AI be a force for empowerment or a mechanism of control? The answer depends not on the machines, but on us. Let's ensure we choose a path that preserves our dignity, rights, and humanity in the age of artificial intelligence.